Hi, folks. Welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about Matt Nuclear. Now, we talked about him a few days ago because he posted a dishonest and deceptively edited version of a Jubilee debate that we did and tried to pass it off as some kind of own. Now, at the time, I thoroughly debunked it by very simply showing the full version of the clip and how that completely upended his argument. Now, all that being said, Matt is relatively new to this online thing. He's only been around for about a year or so. And I don't know if he fully understands that being bad faith doesn't mean that you're owning people. Being bad faith is, in fact, something that will inevitably follow him around. It's the kind of thing that causes people to respect you less and less over time and inevitably starts harming your reputation. If his entire strategy is built around deceptive edits, missing context, and trying to score cheap points, eventually people will catch on. But Matt has only been around, like I said, for about 5 seconds, so he's kind of learning this stuff right now. Anyway, that being said, Matt is back for seconds, it appears. And the reason we're talking about him again is because something interesting happened shortly after our initial back and forth on the internet. See, a few days ago, Matt and the Daily Wire partnered up to launch Matt as the Daily Wire's new Candace Owens. Yeah, it actually happened. They launched Matt Nuclear as the new Candace Owens, and they even put together a whole little hype trailer for him. Now, as you'll notice, yours truly is actually featured in it, which I have to admit was not something I expected when I woke up that morning, but I guess there's that. Anyway, without further ado, here is Matt Nuclear, now for the Daily Wire.
One very young man absolutely slaughtered Amanda Seals' poisonous ideology.
That's just the truth. And you're un-American, you're uneducated, and your IQ is around 50.
This is a masterclass.
Why are you so scared to debate the truth? You've been making this about Israel.
You, sir, are a hypocrite. It is Matt Nuclear.
Matt Nuclear.
Matt Nuclear.
No one's afraid of you, okay?
You're supposedly on the DEI council, but I have to teach you this stuff.
Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor when black men are more likely to kill me?
The world has chosen the nuclear reaction.
Okay, well, that has to be the gayest, most forced thing I have ever seen. A nuclear reaction. I see the wordplay there, bro. Good job. Yeah. By the way, they do feature me in that. Him calling me a hypocrite in an out-of-context clip. Good job, bro. You keep bringing up the same clip. Now, the clip he brings up, funny enough, in his trailer is a clip that he keeps re-sharing. If you remember, in the original interaction I had with Matt a few days ago, Matt shared a clip on X claiming that he owned me and exposed me live on Jubilee for being a triple citizen. Now, obviously, Matt completely misrepresented the clip. As I mentioned earlier, I exposed how he purposely cut out specific context that completely upended his own argument. And I'm not going to waste my time going back through that entire interaction because we're about to go through it again similarly because he did the same thing again. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that Matt is quite literally running back the same failed playbook all over again as though I hadn't just exposed him a few days ago, which is perhaps the most low IQ move imaginable. That's like asking to get bitch slapped. That's asking to get smacked in the back of the head again. I mean, imagine stepping on a rake, getting smacked in the face, brutalized, picking up that same rake, setting it back down, and then stepping on it again like 5 seconds later. I mean, how much more of your reputation do you want to keep harming, Matt? Do you want to just keep proving that you truly do not care about your reputation? That you're going to dishonestly clip people and misrepresent them in order to push false narratives that you want people to believe about conservatives? It's insane. At this point, it almost feels like I should ask for a Jubilee fact check because it genuinely seems like this guy doesn't even know anything else. Every single time he talks about me, it's the exact same clip, the exact same argument, the exact same dishonest framing and narrative. This guy who supposedly argues through facts very clearly has no commitment to the truth whatsoever. Anyway, when Matt's trailer originally dropped, I actually congratulated him. I said, hey, congratulations, good for you, do a good job, whatever. You know, just being nice. We got to be nice, okay? You got to wish your enemies well every so often, especially when they're bought shills for the Israeli state, when they're Ben Shapiro's Shabbos Goy, okay? So I congratulated him and moved on. Then a few days later, I thought, why not make a little joke about this? We're all in this together. So I posted a 19-second video where I made a joke about Ben Shapiro being desperate and Matt being a bench player at Jubilee, which he is. I mean, look, I'm a bench player too. So I don't even know why anybody would interpret that as some devastating insult. But apparently it got Matt in his feelings because he almost immediately fired back at me at 12 a.m. Yeah, folks, Matt apparently had nothing better to do at midnight than to post about me. He responded by saying, dude, you should have just stayed shut. You have the worst subscriber to viewership ratio. You had the biggest YouTube fall off in history and lost your bid for Congress. Now, honestly, yeah, a lot of that is true. I did have one of the biggest fall offs in YouTube history. I do have a bad subscriber to viewership ratio. None of that is a secret. For the last 4 years, I've been thoroughly canceled. I've lost sponsorships. I went from averaging somewhere between 150,000 to 500,000 views a day to basically nothing. I've been banned and shadow banned across multiple platforms. In fact, I've only been back on X and TikTok for the last couple of weeks because I was banned on X for about 4 years and banned on TikTok for about 1 year. In fact, I've been banned for so long on so many platforms that I decided to just come back to them. And I've also been shadow banned literally everywhere on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, go off and on from being shadow banned. That's why when you search me on most platforms like YouTube, half of the results that come up before my channel even comes up are hit pieces. None of this is new to me. I've made videos talking about this years ago. People have been bringing up these talking points for years. They're recycled talking points. They're old. I don't deny any of this. This is simply where I am in my career right now. And you know what? I don't care. It doesn't matter. None of this stopped me from making videos. It didn't stop me from doing commentary every single day. It didn't stop me from studying, learning about the world, researching different topics, or sharing different perspectives. I don't do this for ego. I don't do this for validation. I definitely don't do this for Matt Nuclear's approval. I do it because I genuinely love making videos. This is just part of who I am. I've been doing it since I was 9 years old, before YouTube ever even existed. And look, my first viral video was back in 2015. Before that, I had already been making videos since 2010 and posting them on YouTube. I spent 5 years making content before anything got traction. Then I had one viral video, then another one about a month and a half later. Then I spent roughly 3 years getting absolutely nowhere while continuing to make videos and not making enough money to live on them. Eventually, I started getting some traction, and then my career really took off at the end of 2019 and continued through 2022 when I got massively canceled. Ever since then, I've been in the pits of the internet, which is fine because I've been here before. This isn't unfamiliar to me. None of this is new to me. I've been posting videos on the internet for the past 15 years because I genuinely love making videos. I've been at points where I was making $75,000 a month, and I've been at points where I was making $0 a month. None of that changed to anything. I still made videos. The ups and downs don't matter because I'll be here regardless. I made videos before there was money. I made videos when there was money. And I made videos when the money disappeared. That's because I genuinely love doing this. And as far as bringing up my congressional race, okay, sure, dude. Most people lose their first race. Abraham Lincoln lost plenty of races. Donald Trump lost many races. A lot of politicians lose races before eventually winning. That's just how it works. I don't understand why Matt thinks that this is some kind of own. I learned a tremendous amount. I built infrastructure. I built relationships. In fact, I built more of all of that than just about any Republican candidate in my state. And I'm not saying this out of ego. I'm saying it because it's true. Factually speaking, I'm still one of the most visible Republican candidates in California. I would bet Matt Nuclear himself couldn't name a single other congressional candidate in California, but he surely does know my name. Anyway, all that being said, Matt didn't just come back for seconds. He came back for thirds, apparently, because once again, he shared the exact same dishonest clip that I mentioned earlier and posted it with a caption, "Groyper destroyed in person for pure hypocrisy. This Groyper holds 2 foreign citizenships, votes in American elections, but complains when people with 1 foreign passport do it." This is thoroughly dishonest. Number one, I was born in the United States. I was born in New Jersey. I inherited these additional citizenships through my parents when I was a baby. I inherited an Italian citizenship from my mother and a Brazilian citizenship from my father. In fact, I've actually never been to Italy. Outside of my heritage, I have essentially no connection to Italy whatsoever. Now, I did grow up a portion of my life in Brazil, but I moved back to the United States when I was 12 years old. Today, I have no meaningful connection to Brazil beyond having inherited citizenship and spending part of my childhood there. My parents don't live in Brazil. My brother doesn't live in Brazil. None of my immediate family lives in Brazil, haven't lived there for many, many years. So I don't even understand what the supposed own is here. And what's even funnier is that the argument becomes substantially worse once you see the full context of the clip that Matt conveniently edited out. So before we get into exactly what he left out, let's watch the full clip that Matt shared so that I can then, on the other side, expose how thoroughly dishonest Matt is.
Israel as far as its influence, financial influence in our elections. So $250 million from Miriam Adelson in Trump's election. That wasn't directly through AIPAC.
She's an American citizen.
Dual Israeli.
So what?
Again, the first meeting that I'm a triple citizen. I can talk about this shit. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, great. So wait, hold on. You're triple citizen.
Yeah.
Citizens of what other countries?
Italy and Brazil.
I'm curious. Have you spent any money on any campaigns whatsoever supporting any candidate as you have been a triple citizen?
What are you talking about?
I'm asking you a basic question. Have you spent?
Of course.
Oh, so as a citizen of 3 countries, 2 that are foreign, you have spent money on American elections. Okay. And you're complaining about Miriam and Sheldon Adelson that are only citizens of 1 country spending money on American elections. You, sir, are a hypocrite.
Can I say something?
And now that we've watched the dishonest edit that Matt shared, here is a full clip in context.
Just presented a fallacy that people love to present when they're trying to defend Israel as far as its influence, financial influence in our elections. So $250 million from Miriam Adelson in Trump's election. That wasn't directly through AIPAC.
She's an American citizen.
Dual Israeli.
So what?
Again, the first meeting that Miriam and Sheldon had in the White House, what were they advocating for? Explain it to me.
They can advocate for what they want to advocate for. Right. Miriam Adelson, right, and the late Sheldon Adelson were both American citizens that obviously had a lot of support. I mean, it's like you're talking about dual citizen, not dual Israeli.
I'm a triple citizen. I can talk about this shit. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, great. So wait, hold on. You're triple citizen.
Yeah.
Citizens of what other countries?
Italy and Brazil.
Okay, great. Hold on. Should you be able to hold elected office here in America, given the fact that you are a citizen of 2 other foreign countries?
I actually have a proposal where if you are elected into office and you have dual or triple or however many citizenships you have to renounce it.
Okay, given the fact that you are running for office here in California, are you going to make sure? Hold on. Let me really quickly. So when you run, so given the fact that you are running for office here in California, you do agree to everyone here that you will renounce both of your other passports as soon as you are elected, correct?
I've already filed the paperwork.
Okay, great.
Yes, you don't have to hold me to this. I've made speeches about this. I actually have a plan that's called the JFK plan, okay, that's about removing dual citizens from public office if they're not willing to renounce their citizenships. I'm about having sole allegiance to America. That's it. If you are in elected office, because we have issues, and it goes beyond the Israel stuff. We have Ilhan Omar, who travels over to Somalia as a dual Somali American citizen, travels over to Somalia and says that she's working for the benefits of Somalia in U.S. Congress. So it's about having sole allegiance to America. And yes, I've already filed the paperwork, but you know what? In Italy, especially, it takes about 2.5 to 3 years for it to. Why do you have to act like this?
I'm curious. Have you spent any money on any campaigns whatsoever supporting any candidate as you have been a triple citizen?
What are you talking about?
I'm asking you a basic question. Have you spent?
Of course.
Oh, so as a citizen of 3 countries, 2 that are foreign, you have spent money on American elections. Okay. And you're complaining about Miriam and Sheldon Adelson that are only citizens of 1 country spending money on American elections. You, sir, are a hypocrite.
Can I say something? If anything, I'm showing that I'm willing to hold myself to a standard that I'm demanding from my elected officials. This isn't a hypocrisy.
I'm actually not going to attack you right now. I'm going to attack you. You said some dumb shit.
Now, that was a full exchange, and there are several things that Matt very clearly left out of his dishonest clip. And we're going to go through them one by one and explain them to him because, let's be honest, he's going to watch this video. Matt is obsessed with himself. He hunts the internet for any mention of his name so he can consume it. He is completely self-absorbed. So let's walk through this slowly for Matt's sake. Number 1, I was born in the United States. I inherited additional citizenships through my parents. I never asked for them. I didn't go out and request them. I didn't fill out paperwork applying for them. I had these passports before I even understood what a passport was. They were inherited through my family at birth. That's the first thing Matt conveniently leaves out. The second thing he leaves out is that I have already taken steps to renounce those citizenships. This isn't some hypothetical future plan. This isn't me saying I'll get around to it someday. It is something I have already been doing. The process, however, is not as simple as snapping your fingers and making it happen overnight. You have to file paperwork. You have to pay fees. You have to gather documentation, and not just documentation from the United States. Every country involved has its own records, its own bureaucracy, and its own requirements. In many cases, those countries generate their own versions of your birth certificate, of your birth records, as part of the citizenship process, and you have to track all of that down before you can move forward. Now, the reason I specifically brought up Italy during the debate is because Italy has one of the most archaic archiving systems in the developed world. When I tell you that large portions of Italian records are still not fully digitized, I mean it. My family records are in Melfi. I literally had to reach out to the city of Melfi and request that they locate the relevant family records. And in order to do that, they have to go back through the family line and identify the last member of my family who was born there, which was my great-grandmother. That process takes time. This isn't some overnight procedure. The timelines they give people range anywhere between several months to over a year. So when Matt sits there in the debate making petty little reactions and acting as though this somehow disproves my position, all it really demonstrates is either bad faith or just complete inability to understand how bureaucratic processes work, which is deeply ironic because this is a guy who spends his time debating politics, government, and public policy. He wants to have conversations about institutions, systems, and processes, yet apparently cannot grasp how a simple citizenship renunciation process works. And that's what makes this whole thing just absurd. He's trying to get an own on somebody who is actually on his side of this issue. Think about that for a second, folks. His entire argument is essentially, should people renounce inherited foreign citizenships? Yes, I agree. Are you willing to renounce yours? Yes, I already am. Brother, I am literally doing the thing you're demanding. If Matt has stopped for 2 seconds and listened instead of desperately searching for a gotcha, he would have realized that. But the reality is that Matt was so determined to try to get this clip, so determined to manufacture a viral moment that the gotcha kept just slipping through his hands. Every time he reached for it, it just wasn't there. So he started bouncing from point to point, looking for anything he could use, anything he could later clip out of context and post online. And that's why he had to clip this so dishonestly, because if he showed the actual discussion as it actually unfolded, his narrative would completely fall apart. The full exchange doesn't support the conclusion he's trying to sell, which is why the context had to go out the window. Now, what's even more ridiculous is the way he keeps trying to frame me as some kind of foreign national. Number one, as I mentioned, I'm American born. I was born in New Jersey. That said, I didn't just request these citizenships. I inherited them through my parents. Yet Matt keeps trying to imply that I'm somehow less American because of that. He tries to frame me as somebody who shouldn't be running for Congress, somebody who shouldn't be participating in elections, somebody whose loyalty should somehow be questioned. And what makes that especially ironic is that Matt himself wasn't even born in the United States. This guy was born in Africa. I don't remember specifically which country, but I do remember that he mentioned that in his debate with Amanda Seales. He openly discussed not being American born. So you have a guy, Matt, who wasn't born in the United States trying to frame American born citizens as somehow foreign. Think about how absurd that is, folks. You have an American-born citizen who inherited additional citizenships at birth and is actively working to renounce them, being portrayed as some sort of foreign influence. Meanwhile, the actual issue being discussed during the debate was foreign influence in American politics, specifically individuals using enormous amounts of money and political capital to influence and shape American policy on behalf of their foreign interests. I mean, how dishonest do you have to be? This guy is literally trying to frame an American-born citizen as a foreign citizen who shouldn't be running for Congress, who shouldn't even be contributing to elections, while simultaneously defending a foreign-born Israeli citizen who's using billions of dollars in wealth and political influence to shape American elections and influence American public officials. The level of hypocrisy is insane. And just keep in mind, folks, that this is who Ben Shapiro chose. Ben Shapiro chose a foreign-born guy to come into the American political conversation and disparage American-born citizens who are raising concerns about foreign influence. Ben Shapiro chose this guy to attack Americans who are arguing that corruption should end. Corruption like what I brought up regarding Ilhan Omar. Corruption like what I brought up regarding Miriam Adelson. Corruption involving foreign interests having an outsized influence over American policy and American elections. Instead of engaging with that argument. And now here is Ben Shapiro, somebody who is Israel first, choosing a foreign-born national to inject into the current political conversation about foreign influence. Isn't that insane? That's the person that the Daily Wire is elevating. That's the person that Ben Shapiro personally chose to promote. That's the person he's presenting as a brave new voice in the conservative space. Which brings us to Miriam Adelson, because Matt tries to draw a comparison between me and Miriam Adelson. And honestly, he does it very poorly because he's not very bright and he completely fails to understand the most important distinction in that discussion: scale. The issue isn't simply that Miriam Adelson has Israeli citizenship. The issue is the scale of the influence involved and how that influence is being exercised. Miriam Adelson was born in Israel. She became an American citizen through marriage to Sheldon Adelson. She has contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to American political campaigns. And she has openly advocated on behalf of Israeli interests. In fact, one of the first meetings she and her late husband had with Trump after he entered the Oval Office in 2024 was to advocate for Israeli priorities. We're talking about one of the largest political donors in modern American interests using their influence to advocate on behalf of a foreign nation. So all that being said, let's compare both of these situations honestly, shall we? On the one hand, you have me, an American-born citizen who inherited additional citizenships through his parents and might donate a couple $100s to a political campaign here and there. On the other hand, you have an Israeli-born billionaire who became an American citizen through marriage, has openly stated that Israel is her primary concern, and has spent hundreds of millions of dollars influencing American elections and public policy to benefit Israel. These situations are not even remotely comparable. They're not even in the same universe. The comparison is so dishonest that it's difficult to tell whether Matt is being deceptive or whether he genuinely doesn't understand the distinction. And that's the trap with Matt. If you say he's low IQ, you're giving him an excuse for the dishonesty. If you say he's dishonest, you're giving him an excuse for not understanding the argument. The truth is that it's probably a little bit of both. Now, what seems to me is that Matt is incredibly desperate to make it. He wants a career in media. He wants attention. He wants influence. And people who build careers on deceptive edits, on dishonest framing, and manufactured gotchas almost always implode under the weight of their own nonsense. They can get away with it for a while. Sometimes they can even build a following doing it. But eventually the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Eventually people realize what's truly happening. And we're about to see exactly why. Because for whatever reason, Matt decided it would be a good idea to go to war with the Groypers. See, after Matt's video was originally published by the Daily Wire, Nick Fuentes commented on the Daily Wire's post. And what did Nick write? Well, 4 letters. That's it. He just wrote LMAO. Now, somehow Matt saw those 4 letters and desperately tried to spin them into some kind of opportunity to grab Fuentes' attention and bring him on his show. Of course, Matt would try to do this. Fuentes is arguably the biggest conservative streamer right now in the space. It would help prop Matt's show forward into relevance, but I don't think it's happening, little bro. Anyway, Matt screenshotted the comment and tweeted, Nick Fuentes responded to my show trailer. Well, I welcome the Sicilian Mexican homosexual to join my show. It's from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. Bring me tacos, Chico. Needless to say, this is just pure cringe. It's the same play all over again. It's actually the exact same thing he did with me. Notice what's happening here. Nick leaves a 4-letter comment. There's no discussion of identity. There's no discussion of ethnicity. There's no discussion of sexuality. There's no discussion of any of that. Nick literally just writes LMAO. And Matt immediately jumps to Sicilian Mexican homosexual. He's appealing entirely to identity. And honestly, it's woke. If the goal is to discredit Nick, why are you immediately talking about ethnicity and sexuality and appealing to wokeness? Why is that the first thing that comes to your mind, Matt? This is the exact same obsession with identity politics that the right has spent years criticizing the leftover. The only difference is that now it's being played inversely on the right. These Israel First neocons have literally become the left because there is absolutely no reason for identity to be brought into this conversation whatsoever. Nobody brought it up. Nick didn't bring it up. The trailer didn't bring it up. The audience didn't bring it up. Yet Matt immediately reaches for identity because that's apparently how he views the world. He sees it through an intersectional pyramid. And that's apparently how he plans to make arguments work on his Matt Nuclear show. It's honestly insane to me that the horseshoe theory is true, but the neocons are the ones proving it true. Now, what's especially ironic is that, once again, Matt is appealing to the same tactic. He's trying to frame someone who's an American-born citizen as somehow lesser of an American because of their ethnic background, while Matt himself wasn't even born in the United States. By his own admission, Matt was born in Africa. Yet somehow he's the one trying to police who is and isn't sufficiently American. The irony is just unbelievable. Actually, it's nuclear levels here. But look, what followed was even more interesting because Matt ended up getting absolutely cooked in his own replies. See, people were pointing out that Matt had something like 37 live viewers on his inaugural live stream. People were also pointing out that he was acting like some giant media personality while his videos were averaging a couple hundred views, which, by the way, is funny to me because we're basically on the same boat. My videos average a couple hundred views. His videos average a couple hundred views. So congratulations to both of us, I guess. Now, all that being said, perhaps the funniest part of all of this is that Matt decided it would be a good idea to start going after specific Groyper generals. In particular, he got into an exchange with Beardson. Matt tried to get an own on Beardson by pointing out that Beardson follows him and implying that Beardson was somehow chasing clout or looking for a follow back. Beardson responded by saying, "I'm not begging for a follow back. I followed you so I can make fun of you, LMAO. And I'm not sure you want to talk about traction. I saw how slow your live chat moved, little bro." Now, that was already funny enough, but Matt then decided to double down and responded with, "Hold this ratio. I was streaming on X and getting 4K concurrent," which is hilarious because he's saying this while getting something like 20 likes on the post itself. He didn't get a ratio, needless to say. And apparently that was embarrassing enough that Matt eventually deleted his ratio post altogether. Then Beardson came back and delivered what was probably the funniest response to this entire exchange. He said, "Oh no, he thinks the X viewership is real, LMAO. Brother, don't make me do this to you on Juneteenth." Needless to say, that exchange did not exactly go Matt's way. Anyway, all that being said, Matt, I genuinely wish you the best, but I don't think you're ready for what's about to come your way. And I'm not even going to be the one delivering it to you. I'm actually trying to engage with you on substance. I'm trying to explain where you're being dishonest, where you're clipping things deceptively, and where you're getting things wrong. A lot of the people responding to you are not nearly as charitable as I am. Most of them are going to be absolutely ruthless. And the reality is that if you continue building a reputation around dishonest edits, identity-based attacks, and manufactured gotchas, eventually people stop taking you seriously. They will stop giving you the benefit of the doubt. They will stop assuming you're acting in good faith. So if you are indeed nuclear, Matt, the whole internet may be about to witness your meltdown. So get ready for the fallout, I guess. And maybe learn how to argue from a place of honesty if you actually want people to take you seriously and have some interest in preserving your reputation. Anyway, folks, you tell me what you think in the comments down below. Hope you have a terrific day. Peace.